them, is if you have somebody that's running it that is well-versed and comfortable in deciphering what is radio activity, what is walkie-talkie activity, what is police radio activity, somebody that understands those and can differentiate between that and actual communication. The other thing, when it comes to anything that is supposed to speak back to you, I'm on the fence unless its answers are specific to questions. I use them in Virginia. The answers that we were getting back were specific to questions that we asked the spirits. Yeah. So if it's just random words being blurted out, I'm not so much on board with that, but I'm not knocking anybody. Okay. Yeah. I am going to say right off the bat, I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. Best piece of equipment you can take on an investigation is yourself, a notebook, and a pencil. Just take that, because what you hear in your head, what you see in your mind's eye, for lack of a better way of putting it, and you document, when you can go back later and verify that information, there's nothing like it. I was at Sailor's Creek with Gwen in Virginia, and she was videotaping me. They didn't tell me where we were going. Didn't tell me nothing. They took me to this place, and before the car even stopped, I threw open the passenger door and was running out, because I'm surrounded by military personnel. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, right there. This was a Civil War battleground. Okay, and they're all of them are just yelling at me, and she's got it all on video. Me holding up saying, "Give me a minute, hold on." And the funny thing was, every single thing I told her when I was able to give her battle plans, where they were saying they came in from, where they were saying they should have come in from, and the loss of life would have been much less. I was pointing in the direction and showing her. I'd never been to Virginia, y'all. I didn't know. But I'm pointing all this out on camera. No EVP recorder, no spirit box, no nothing. I had down first and last names, everything. Gwen was actually able to go on the internet and dig and dig and dig, and actually found almost every single thing I said and was able to verify it.
Perfect. Well, I'll tell you something. Ron wants to go to Sailor's Creek.
Oh goodness. I'm gonna tell you right now, and I've said this again a million times. I've been all over, y'all. I've been to England, Ireland, Scotland, all over the U.S., and I have yet to go to a place, even New Orleans. I've been there plenty of times, but I have yet to go to a place that is filled with as much sorrow and as much anger as Virginia.
Believe me, I understand. My family's there.
It's bad. It's real, real bad. And Sailor's Creek, these were boys, y'all. Mm-hmm. These were boys, and they're telling me, they had to. There's a house right there on Sailor's Creek that they had the family, and I'm on my knees looking in a window in, I think it was the back of this house, and I can see what has to be only residual imagery of the family that is sitting at the table with blood falling down on them from the surgeries going on, the amputations going on above them in their own home. Mm-hmm. They were confined to this basement area, and I can see it. And I have these boys, these Civil War soldiers, that are telling me, they had to take my arm. They had to take my leg, and, and they would pile them up and burn them, and there's no words. There's no words to describe how bad it really was.
People don't realize that Sailor's Creek was like the second under loss of Gettysburg.
It was.
So
I
think it was the second. I mean, Gettysburg was the worst one-day loss.
Yes.
And I think Sailor's Creek was the second biggest one-day loss. Or I think it was only like 6 hours or something like that, wasn't it, Ron?
Well, because
it was less hours.
The other thing that is, and y'all, I'm from Alabama, okay? I mean, so I know the South, all right? But the other thing that you had a tremendous amount of in Virginia was angry slaves. Angry, and rightfully so. And it's when you're trying to reconcile terrified young boys who were made to fight along with angry people who were being mistreated in ways you can't even possibly comprehend. You know, there's no words. There's no words.
And you know what's strange is that was April 6th, 1865, not too far from, today.
Wow.
And so the anniversary of. So I'm trying to find the losses there, but I believe Ron said something that he thinks it was that the losses there was a shorter amount of time, and that
the Confederates were actually retreating. They hadn't had any food or water in about 2 or 3 days. They were actually heading back. They're retreating, and they're ambushed.
So
pretty much wiped out.
So it was really a bad battle. There's a book. What book was it that you had, Ron, that was about that? Killing Lincoln. So in that book, there's a huge story about Sailor's Creek in there.
It is really, really bad. And the thing is, I can't remember what the name of that house is. It's right there on the property. But what the boys were telling me, behind the house, where you have all that field and then you have the tree line and then where the creek is, they were pointing to that area and talking about how they came from that direction and the creek was just red with blood, just red, and they said if they would have come instead from, if you were standing with your back to the front of the house and looking forward just to your right, across that front yard, across the street and across the field is a tree line that's broken there, which I don't know if it would have been then, but that was the direction that they were pointing. They said if they would have come from that direction instead, that they would have had a much less loss of life. Whether that is accurate or not, I don't know. Gwen was able to find that the direction that they came was what I said. But it was just...
So, like I said, my family's from Virginia, so so I know that there's a lot of stuff there, because I remember seeing a lot of spirits there growing up. I lived in Virginia for a lot of years.
Well, let me freak you out for it, because I did not find out, and through no paranormal recourse at all, I found this out totally non-paranormal related, that a lot of my family from my dad's side was in Virginia, and very prominent ones, to be exact. My maiden name is Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an entire Pollard section of Hollywood Cemetery. And I did not know that. But I actually found some of my ancestors and found the links of my ancestors after the fact to some of the locations I went to. It was disturbing.
And actually, Sailor's Creek had a larger loss of life than Gettysburg. That is sad when you think about that. There were 3,900 for the Confederates and 3,155 for the Union. still less than 8,800 for Sailor's Creek.
And I would have thought Gettysburg, but like I said, I'd never been there. Yeah, Sailor's Creek is something else.
So, and that battle only lasted 6 to 8 hours, and Gettysburg lasted 3 days.
Most of those that died right there did not know the moment they perished. They just didn't.
No. It's just sad when you think about that. So, I mean, the state of Virginia is covered in blood.
Oh, yes. Inches deep. Feet.
I mean, it's not only there, though. I mean, basically below the Mason-Dixon line, almost to the Gulf of Mexico. You could say that because there was so many battles fought south of the Mason-Dixon line. North of the Mason-Dixon line, there weren't very many.
But I don't know what it is about Virginia. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I would go with, we'd probably have to research to see where the most battles were fought. But it was the battleground was probably, I mean, we all know the beginning was right there, was Fort Sumter was in South Carolina?
I believe so, yes.
So, but a lot of it was right there in Virginia. So who knows?
Yeah, it's just it just seems so concentrated.
Yeah, maybe because it was close to Washington D.C. There was a lot of stuff going on. Who knows?
Definitely could have something to do with it.
But you know what? We're going to stop talking about the Civil War right now because we've got a minute until the top of the hour. We're going to have a long break, and so I want everybody to start thinking about their questions. When we come back, we're going to talk to Vanessa about her documentary that she's going to be doing over in Ireland. So we're going to have a lot of things going on. So we're going to have a 5-minute break for everybody to get ready to sit still and listen for 20 minutes to all this. And Vanessa's also doing a fundraiser to help with that. So I want to have her talk about all these things that's coming up. And because I know that she's been planning this for quite a while.
Yes.
And especially since she got back from Ireland last year. So,
oh, yeah. It's been in the works since then. I didn't disclose it publicly until the end of February, and we'll discuss why I disclosed it publicly.
So you guys, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Vanessa and I will be back in just 5 minutes.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. A whistleblower is telling members of Congress that the White House overturned the decisions on more than 24 applications that were previously denied security clearances. House Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings said in a letter released today that Tricia Newbold, who'd worked for Republican and Democratic administrations, informed members of the panel about the Trump administration's decisions to reverse security clearance rejections and the risks that were posed to national security. Jim Jordan, the ranking Republican on the committee, dismissed Cummings' letter as, quote, an excuse to go fishing through the personal files of dedicated public servants, end quote. The House Judiciary Committee will vote Wednesday on whether to issue subpoenas for the full report on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. NPR's Brian Naylor says Democrats on that panel want to see the entire document, the underlying evidence, and related matters.
The announcement of the vote comes after Attorney General William Barr said a redacted version of the report will be released by the middle of the month. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerrold Nadler, a New York Democrat, had set a Tuesday deadline for Barr to release Mueller's full report, a deadline not likely to be met. So far, Barr has only released a 4-page summary of Mueller's findings of the nearly 2-year probe into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. Nadler says Mueller's full and complete report must be released to Congress without delay. The top Republican on the panel, Doug Collins of Georgia, says Congress does not require the unredacted findings and called the plan to subpoena them desperate. Brian Naylor, NPR News, Washington.
The White House is celebrating the First Step Act today. The law, enacted 3 months ago, is supposed to help prepare prisoners for life after incarceration, but NPR's Aisha Roscoe tells us there are some concerns about implementation.
The First Step Act calls for the Justice Department to roll out new programs that will provide training, rehabilitation, and other services for prisoners before they are released. The law requires the development of a system to determine the risk and needs of each inmate, but the outside committee that's supposed to provide input on this new system has not been set up yet. That was supposed to happen 2 months ago. Supporters of the law say they are worried that the delays and potential lack of money could limit its impact. An administration official pushed back against those concerns, telling NPR that President Trump is committed to fully funding and implementing the statute. Aisha Roscoe, NPR News, the White House.
At last check on Wall Street, the Dow was up 294 points, or 1.1%, at 26,223. This is NPR. India says it's holding off on imposing tariffs on some U.S. imports. New Delhi was hurt by the Trump administration's tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. But as NPR's Lauren Frayer tells us, India keeps delaying retaliation.
India has delayed these tariffs several times. It first announced back in June that it would charge higher import duties on some U.S. goods, mostly food, including apples, walnuts, and almonds. That's after the Trump administration hiked tariffs on steel imported into the U.S. from India. But India keeps postponing the date when the new tariffs will take effect.
That's NPR's Lauren Frayer reporting. The latest report on consumer spending in the U.S. shows a surprise decline for the month of February. The Commerce Department says U.S. retail sales fell 0.2% in February, marking a second unexpected drop in 3 months. NPR's Alina Selyuk has details.
The latest report is a mixed bag. The Commerce Department revised the January numbers upward to show an increase in consumer spending. But February was a downer for retail. People spent less on about half of major categories, including groceries, electronics, and appliances. A big drop was seen in building materials and garden supplies. Analysts blamed a slew of factors, like the extreme cold weather and snowstorms, but also the trade war with China and the fact that Americans this year are getting lower income tax refunds. The report also suggests that the end of the 35-day partial government shutdown on January 25th did not boost spending by much. Alina Selyuk, NPR News, Washington.
I'm Lakshmi Singh, NPR News.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride, and if you hear the dog, it's Ron getting her riled up. Well, in the future, the next couple times, all he's got to do now is walk by me, and she's gonna bark. So, but welcome back. I got Vanessa Hogkr, and we're going to talk about her upcoming documentary. You guys will be filming. You and Gwen Clapper are going to be doing a documentary in Ireland this coming summer.
Yes, absolutely. We actually had started talking about this months ago and kind of putting it in the works and hoping that we were going to be able to pull it off. And we kept it, low key, weren't talking about it publicly, weren't really putting anything out there. And then on February 26th, Mike and I had on Edge of the Rabbit Hole, we had Christopher Peters, who is a Hollywood producer. He was one of the producers for A Star is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. And, we had him on there, and he's going to be back on again April 16th. And about the last 10 minutes of it, he asked us, he said, I've been watching y'all's show. You're really good. He goes, where do you see yourselves being? Where do you see yourselves taking this? And Mike gave his answer, and I decided, I'm going to bite the bullet. And I went ahead and disclosed right there on live YouTube the documentary. And he liked it. He liked the idea so much, Christopher Peters did, that he offered right there live to see the finished product. And if he likes it, he said he would put me in touch with Channing Dungey, who runs Netflix.
Oh.
That's huge.
Yeah, that is.
That is very, very, very big. And he and I have been in contact since then, so it wasn't a one-time thing. And it was what we're wanting to do. I have a dear friend over there. His name is Mike Phillips, and he's with PPI, which is Phillips Paranormal Incorporated, I think is what it is, Phillips Paranormal Investigators. And he's also on Instagram. He's on Instagram under PPI and under the Viking Dude, because he spent off and on 5 seasons on Vikings, off and on 3 seasons on Game of Thrones. Well versed in videography and everything else, and all that good stuff. And he has a ton of connections over there. And I've remote viewed for him before and had much success with that. And because of us staying in contact over the years, it's been about 4 years now, we wanted to include him in with this, with mine and Gwen's trip over there. And Gwen Clapper's from BPI, so I've traveled extensively to Virginia and done investigations with her, all on YouTube under Beyond Perception Investigators. And between me and Gwen and Mike, we have access to places mainstream media can't get into at all. And they are historically and legally relevant. It's not something anybody will have ever seen before. Some of it is unbelievably heartbreaking. Very, very, very bad. I have in my possession the names of almost 800 children who were disposed of. And when I say
that's why I was going to say disposed of how?
They were thrown away. And that's bad. And one of the remote viewing sessions that I did for Mike kind of led him to investigate further on this, which led to situations being uncovered, which is now leading to excavations of a particular area over there this summer that we should have access to while they're excavating. But it's really bad. It's really bad. Certainly, I can go ahead and say it on here because people they're gonna figure it out anyway. But it's, some of the mother and baby homes in Ireland. We will be doing that. He has so much information and so many areas of Ireland, like I said, that nobody can get into, some of which I can't disclose here, that it will be completely original. It will be not something you've ever seen any other team, especially TV teams, going into. This is 100% different. And we've got like anywhere from 20 to 30 interviews already set up with individuals over there. There's between, I believe, 10 and 15 locations that we're packing into 9 days. It's going to be non-stop filming. And it's all going to be real. It's the real thing. It's deathbed letters, deathbed confessions, you name it. It's all in there. And the reason that we called it Hidden Gems is it's kind of a play on words. When you think of the children that were thrown away, they're hidden. People didn't figure that out till way later. They're the gems of Ireland. These locations that nobody knows about that are, like I said, historically and legally relevant. Those are hidden gems. They're not the standard everybody's been to at location.
Right. And those are the places I want to go. Or, yeah, I'd like to go to Leap Castle, but I'd much rather go to. I know you did. I saw. Remember, I was watching.
Yeah.
That's how. And it wasn't just, those aren't the only places I'd like to see. I also, read Kat's book, Kat Gash, who's going to be a guest on April 15th, about her trip to Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
And how wonderful and exciting and haunted it all was. And some of these places aren't your everyday places either.
Exactly.
I would much rather find that off the beaten path haunted place that most people don't even know about than the place where everybody's standing in line with 6,000 people like I did over the weekend, what it wasn't haunted, but it was live PD stuff. But I don't want to be in line with 6,000 people to go through this mansion that I can't even take pictures of, because some of the places you went, they wouldn't even let you take pictures, right?
Ross Castle, you can't take pictures of. Didn't stop me from reading the place, because one of the deceased women that was staying so close to me the whole time we were there, she was giving me all of this information. And the poor tour guide, when I finally told her everything that I was being told, her jaw just dropped. She goes, "There's no way you could know that." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can." And she goes, "Well, how?" And I said, "Well, this little woman standing next to me is telling me everything." But I couldn't, I drew her, but I couldn't take pictures inside there. We've got full reign. We've got full reign to do what we need to do. And our goal is not to go over there and say, "Hey, look at all the cool places we're getting to go." That's not our goal.
Right.
Our goal is to do exactly what Gwen has as her mission statement for BPI, and that's to give the dead a voice and the living closure. That is exactly what we want to do. It's not just about going into locations and saying, "Okay, perform." No. Tell me how I can help you. That's what I want to do. That's what Gwen wants to do. That's what Mike wants to do. We want to give these spirits who have been not in limbo, because that isn't accurate, but who have been there for so long, just waiting for somebody who actually cares to lend their ear.
And so Mike's going too?
Not Mike from here.
Oh, that's right. The Mike is over there.
Mike Phillips, that's already over there. So we're going to spend, he and I talked today, and we're going to spend quite a bit of time on the west coast of Ireland and then move to the east coast, hitting all of these different locations where we can basically show people what they've never seen before. And not just us walking into a place with a camera. We're going to be talking to the people, not so that we can make light of their situation or have them tell us where the hot spots are. No, we want to know their story. We want to know the connectivity between those that are still there today and those who were there yesterday. Mm-hmm. So many yesterdays ago. How were they coinciding? How were they cohabitating? How were they able to share the same space, one physical, one not, and continue to prosper? Is there any emotional issues that come along with that? Have the living been able to help the dead? There are all these questions that, as investigators and mediums and psychics and remote viewers, that we forget to ask.
Right.
And that's what we want to do. And thank you so much for bringing up the fact that I'm doing a fundraiser. I have everything covered once we're in Ireland. I've got transportation covered while we're there. I have food covered while we're there. I have lodging covered while we're there. All of that is we're being hosted and sponsored, and all of that is taken care of. The only thing that Gwen and I lack is the airline tickets to get there. And we're doing our best on our own, but we are doing a fundraiser. And my trade-off with anyone who donates is that they will be listed in the documentary, which has a very real chance of being on Netflix, in the special thanks to section. So it's that little piece of immortality for them as well. Whether it's $5, $50, or $500. We've done well. We need more. Those plane tickets are expensive. And to give people covering our breakfast, me and Gwen are going to be living off of peanut butter and jelly and Pringles. This is not a vacation by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I mean, the last trip you went, you said you guys ate a lot of fast food.
No, I didn't.
Or you ate a lot of food that you had brought with you.
Oh, yeah.
Or picked up and ate along the way.
Absolutely.
Because Yeah, because I remember you saying we didn't eat a lot at a lot of restaurants. We just, picked up and ate.
Exactly. But, I wanted that last trip to be more research for the Ireland book, which was supposed to be my fourth book. But I didn't get to delve in as much as I wanted to, through no fault of anybody else. It just didn't work that way. We have made sure this time that is not the case. This is work from sunup to sundown. We have actually scheduled this trip in July for a very specific reason, and that is because they have anywhere between 15 and 18 hours of daylight in Ireland at that time. So it's that 3-week window where you have that much daylight, so that we can get all the interviews done. We can get daylight filming done between having to drive from one location to another. It's gotten so serious that we have specific colors of shirts for each day to make editing easier. We have the board that we will have up for at the beginning of each filming so that we know the date and the location and the time to simplify editing. We've got the legal documentation. We've got the equipment. We've got everything. This is not something that we're just going to go and chill. We don't work that way. When Gwen and I investigated in Virginia, I was there for 5 days. In 5 days, we investigated between 12 and 16 hours out of the day for 4 of those days and got enough footage after editing for 8 episodes.
Wow. So
yeah, we don't stop.
Well, obviously we can all hear that you don't stop. That is not the problem. So you guys, if you go out to Facebook, and it's on your page, right, Vanessa, to donate?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. They can contact me privately. If they can't find the Hidden Gems documentary fundraiser, they can contact me privately, and I can take it through PayPal or the Facebook documentary, the Hidden Gems documentary fundraiser site, which will show it.
So you guys, if you're out there and you're listening to this, and this show is airing on April 1st, 2019, and you listen to the show prior to, when's the last date they can donate?
We were hoping for May 1st. If I have to push it to June 1st, I absolutely will.
Okay, there you go. If you're listening to this before June 1st, 2019, you have time to donate. Everybody, we are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. We have a 3-minute break, so please come back. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat room, and I will make sure they get asked. Thank you, and come back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Son of a...
Hey, son.
Mother...
Son? What are you doing?
Hey, Mom. I'm getting ready to listen to Periscope Uncensored.
By expanding your vocabulary.
Well, it is uncensored.
Son, the uncensored part of Periscope Uncensored is Jax and I getting down to brass tacks with all aspects of the paranormal. There's no fluff on our show.
So, no off-color commentary?
I didn't say that.
Awesome!
Son?
I just hit my head.
Oh boy. I'll go get you an ice pack. Catch Periscope Uncensored Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm speaking to Vanessa Hogkr tonight, and we were talking about her documentary, and I want everybody to realize all the stuff that we were talking about. We're talking about Vanessa's and Gwen's documentary, and one of the things she was talking about was that they have a fundraiser going on. Just so you guys know, if you give to that fundraiser, you're giving to the documentary, not to their personal vacation, their them living it up on your dollar. It's going to be going towards this wonderful documentary on stuff that some of us will never ever get to do. So if you give, know that it's going for something that you're going to be able to eventually see the results of. So
Exactly.
And I know lots of people who have already given to the fundraiser, and it's not going through, what is that?
GoFundMe?
Yeah, it's not going through GoFundMe, so you're not having any extra funds taken out of you and stuff like that. All the funds go straight to Vanessa and to Gwen. So
the only thing they do take out on the Facebook private fundraiser thing that I did is they do take care of taxes, so that I'm not responsible for that.
Perfect.
Yes, which is a help. That's a huge help, because we're technically not a nonprofit, so I would be responsible for that. So I do love the fact they've set it up that way. But you're right. I mean, it's not to to make it sound bad, but we do want to provide something for people that they wouldn't have a chance to see otherwise. And it kind of hit me today. It's very simple. If you can't find what you want to watch on TV, create it.
Right. And no matter what, Vanessa's a real person, and she's going to be doing the things that I would love. I would love to be able to go to Ireland and go to these places that she's going to get to go to. And so I'm going to be vicariously living through her and Gwen for 9 days.
And we will do our absolute best while we're doing it to update everybody. Not so much through our private pages, although I'm sure we will some, but through Perfect Trust Productions, which is the new page that we started up on Facebook, so that people would have a single location to go to in order to be able to get information while we're over there, updates while we're over there, what's going on while we're over there. And I do feel that it's important for people to know that thus far, this is the first time that Gwen or myself have ever done a fundraiser for something like this. I've traveled to Ireland before dime, to Illinois, to New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, West Virginia, New Orleans, you name it, all of that has been done on my own dime. All of it. So the only reason that we're asking for help for this is because we are producing something for everybody else. And we kind of learned this the hard way. When I went to New York, first to Pennsylvania, and then into Staten Island when we filmed the Cropsey documentary, The Search for Holly Ann Hughes, I was there with Julia Siracusa and Rachel Rodbell, and after the fact, Gwen was putting together the footage for the documentary in regards to Holly Ann Hughes and her disappearance over 36 years ago. I was actually there on the 36th anniversary of her disappearance in search of her. And there was a misconfiguration at that time because Gwen wasn't there with us filming, and I'm not very adept at it. I'm not, and I don't claim to be. But there was a misconfiguration with some of the footage, so we weren't able to have as much footage as we would like that could be transferred into the documentary. So it's more of a mini doc. It's just under an hour. Gwen's the best I know. She's the best I know. Nobody else needs to be behind that camera or setting up those cameras. She's that good at what she does. And to have her with me over there doing this, I know that what I'm going to be giving people and what she and I together and Mike are going to be giving people will be worthy of this support.
Well, I tell you, I am excited to hear about it, and hopefully we will be able to hear about it at the Spook Show Con Paracon, Spook Show Con on August 17th after you get back. Hopefully you'll be rested up enough to come up to DeKalb.
I am going to do my darndest. I promised Tom McNicholas that I would do everything in my power to be there. I will be flying back from Ireland once I have the tickets. I'll be flying back from Ireland August 4th, which is a Sunday, going straight back to work the next day. Gwen will be going back to Virginia to start putting together the footage and doing all of the editing, and she and I will do that via privately and on Skype and through phone calls, and her transferring, some of the video to me and so on and so forth, putting everything together because we're in separate states. But if I have got the gas money to get there, I will be there.
Okay, well, I hope to God you're there, because that's one of the highlights is that you coming to the event. And so, and everybody out there listening, we've talked about Mineral Springs Paracon. Vanessa's going to be there, and that is on June 1st. That is Haunted Road Media Paracon, June 1st, and that's going to be at the Mineral Springs Hotel. Mineral Springs Hotel is what it used to be. Now it's Mineral Springs, and you guys will really enjoy it. I know we really liked the Paracon. It's only $5 for the Paracon and $35 to investigate if you decide to stay that night. And there's lots of hotels in Alton that you can stay at. Most of us are staying at Super 8, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. So you can check that out. And there's a bunch of different places you could check out around town too. So if you come, find me. I'll give you some ideas of other things you can check out, and or just look online. Ron and I are going to be helping out Sharon from McPike Mansion at her table. She's going to be there, so try not to go to McPike Mansion during the day during the Paracon, because there's not going to be anybody there to show you around. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you about that on Sharon. But Vanessa's going to be there, and you're going to be able to visit with her and Katie Hopkins and Mike Ricksecker and Shauna Wankel and let's see, who else is going to be there? All kinds of people. Lee Ehrlich. Let's see, Creeps going to be there. That is Adam and Alec Tillery. Love them guys. And I've known Adam and Alec for about 10 years at this point. Coyote Chris Sutton, known him about 10 years too. So these are a lot of people that people know in the paranormal. Chuck Banks is going to be there. You guys, since I've been on this network. So, guys, check it out. It's one of the least expensive Paracons you could go to. And and like I said, you can meet Vanessa and you can check out one of the most haunted towns in the United States in Alton.
And the one thing that we need to point out, Denise, is it is, like you said, only $5 to get in. Y'all, we were packed last year.
Yes,
we had, for our first year, the turnout was astounding. And the $35 investigation, for those who don't know or have never been to Mineral Springs, this place is huge. It is absolutely huge. I think that we had groups of between 15 and 20 people each for the investigation. And there were 6 to 8 groups just for a one-night investigation. And do you know there was no overlap? No, where you couldn't investigate the floor that you were on or the area that you were on because of other people. People were that respectful. It's so big that you won't be bothered by another person. And to get all of that length of time, that area of space for $35 is unheard of.
The only thing I'm going to say, wear tennis shoes, do not wear sandals.
Yep.
The basement and the pool area are dangerous.
Yep.
And so is the upper floor. But also make sure that you wear layers so that you can take off your jacket and have a T-shirt on underneath because it's cold down below and it's very hot upstairs.
Absolutely.
So keep that. And there's no air conditioning upstairs and it's way too cool in the basement. So and if you have a dust or allergy problem, don't do the investigation. I'm telling you that now.
Exactly.
Because it's bad.
Don't wear shorts.
No, don't wear shorts. You'll get cut.
There are, when you're down in the lower levels, there are ways there are things that you could rub up against because it's dark that you might not see. And you could injure yourself. And, I don't want anyone to think if they rubbed up against, something sticking out of the wall that they got scratched by a spirit,
right. Because there's exposed, what is it called, Ron? The rods? Those in concrete. Rebar. Yeah, there's exposed rebar down there.
Yeah.
In the basement, there's also rocks and concrete that's jagged, and there's some broken wood. And like I said, I'm not telling you not to go. I'm just telling you that it's a haunted location that has some dangerous aspects to it, just like any other haunted location. Like I said, but for me, I can't go because of the stuff that's happened to me. And I know it's been wet. I know there's going to be mold. I can't go. Yeah. So everybody, if you're going to go, but be prepared for the actuality is Alton's got flooding going on right now. And this is in an area where it gets flooded. So just be aware it's going to be wet. I'm just giving you the heads up.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up because I might bring some medical masks.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that people need to be aware of. The other thing is we did have some questions in the chat about, Dara asked about the area of the swimming pool. If you felt that there was anything negative in that swimming pool area. Yeah. I never felt anything negative, but by the time we got down there, we were the last group down there. I think everything was like, I'm done. I'm going to bed. By the time we got down there.
I'm going to specify negative. Okay. Just like Mike and I have talked about this at great length. If somebody's poopy in life, odds are they're poopy in death.
Right.
Okay. So, negative can be somebody with a bad attitude or likes to pick on people, even when they're deceased. It doesn't mean negative entity as in demonic or anything like that. So are there certain things that can come through Mineral Springs that are either there already or brought by the umpteen people that come into it on a daily basis? Could there be something negative? Yes, there could. Do I sense anything, or have I ever sensed anything that goes beyond that? No, I have not. And I generally draw that stuff to me. And I was fine. There was,
there's nothing evil there.
No, there have been acts that there are areas that there's a room upstairs I won't go into because I knew what happened up there, and that wasn't something that had been told to anybody. So when I disclosed that to Mike and the Dunleys from Mineral Springs, to Dave, right there in front of everybody, he couldn't believe that I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go in that room. I won't go.
I think I know which room it is.
Yes. I'm not going to go in there because of what's happened to me in my past. So others could probably go in there and be perfectly fine. I cannot. When I went in there, I actually have a picture of it because we all know that I kind of let things hop in and take me for a ride and then hop out, right? A picture was called of me. I'm standing there in the center of that room before I could pull myself out of it, just with my arms sticking out, and I've got tears running down my face, and I didn't know it. I was frozen. Mm-hmm. I could not move.
And it wasn't cold, people. It was like 90 degrees.
Yeah. I was frozen, tears running down my face. I was somebody else at that moment, reliving a horrible experience, and it's not something I choose to do again. So I'll be all the other places, but I'm not going to be in that room.
This is up, not Pearl's room. This is going the other direction towards the other building if you're standing there looking at the buildings across the street, not towards the river, across the street to the right.
Yes.
Okay. Cause that's where I felt like I went down that way, and it's like, I don't want to be down here.
Exactly.
So, and I didn't know exactly why. All I knew is it makes me feel sick to be down here.
Yes, ma'am. I won't be going back in that room. I have nothing to prove. I'm brave on many things, but I don't choose to feel the way that room made me feel.
Yeah. Did you when you had all your stuff set up in the ballroom? Okay, I know that you were drug off many times by people.
Yeah.
Real living people.
Yeah.
Did you experience anything on that main floor? Because I'm gonna let you talk.
Yeah, I mean, nothing negative, nothing like that. But if I'm being honest, y'all, I can experience something at the Burger King.
Oh, I know. I tell people that all the time. There's stuff at Walmart all the time.
Oh yeah.
Walmart's the worst place to go. If you're...
Well, I've been working on a patient and had a deceased person walk through the wall and stand at the foot of my patient and wait for me to be ready to talk to her, and actually show themselves by throwing stuff on the patient in front of the doctor I was working with. Oh. So, I mean, it's that happens to me all the time. What I felt when I was in the ballroom, there wasn't anything that was bothering me. I actually felt happy and almost, jovial.
Yeah, a little because bit. It felt like a party atmosphere a lot of the time. And
now, that having been said, that back hall bathroom above the ballroom.
Yes.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'll go across the street and go pee.
Oh, I'll tell you. Okay. The first time we went in there, okay, this is not the paranormal conference. Okay. Not the paranormal conference. This was like 3 years ago. We just stopped in there. We were going to McPike, and we were early, and I told Ron, I said, I want to just go in there and see if we can find something. Just walk through there. And so we go in there, and I had to go to the bathroom because, well, by the time when we get to McPike, there's only porta potties. Yeah. So I went to the bathroom, and all of a sudden, all the lights go off. Well, they don't have auto lights. You have to flick on the switch.
Yeah.
So I'm in there and the lights go out. And I'm like, oh, great. And then all of a sudden the lights come back on. And it's just me in there. It's because it's during the day. Nobody's in there. The barbershop's closed, which the barbershop is one of the longest standing. That barbershop's been continuously run since the place opened in 1912.
Wow.
Okay. So there's hardly any shops in here at that time because It's Raining Zen had just opened it hadn't opened yet. The other owners owned the place at the time. I'm going to the bathroom and all these lights just keep coming on and off. And the thing is you can hear the switch going off and on.
Mm-hmm.
Ron's, the men's restroom's on the other side.
Yeah.
So Ron and I are the only two people in this part of the building. I don't know what's going on. I get out of the bathroom and I tell Ron, I said, the bathroom's haunted. And he's like, yeah, right. But everybody, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. This is our last break. So please, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And we'll be back in 2 minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. And again, I am so sorry that we have to have breaks because, the conversations that we have on break are so much fun that you guys have to miss them. So we're going to start all over with what we were talking about on break. So what we were talking about on break is we were talking about at Mineral Springs. On the way over, we had, I kept telling Ron and Charlie, who was with us, in the car, we were coming from St. Louis over to Alton, and I said, I got this spirit. Her name is Lorraine. I said, she says she hates this other name that they call her. I said, I think she keeps saying Pearl. She hates it. And I kept telling him this long drawn out story that she had told me because spirits come to visit me before we go on tour, on these events or any place. I mean, if we go any place that might be haunted, I get visits. Sometimes I get them just randomly before I meet new people too. So here we are. I get this whole story. We get over there and here's this newspaper article and Ron and Charlie see it and they say, damn, her name was Lorraine. And of course it's the ghost that everybody talks about is Pearl, who committed suicide in this room upstairs. Well, her middle name's Lorraine. And she kept telling me, I like Lorraine better. I don't like Pearl. I hate that name, but does she tell everybody that? I don't know. But we were talking about that. And then Vanessa was telling about some spirits how spirits visit her as well. So go ahead, Vanessa.
They really do. I mean, Gwen, like I said, who was going to Ireland with me to do the documentary. A woman who helped raise her when she was little, before I ever went to Virginia, Gwen had never told me about her, had never said one word about her. I didn't know her name, anything. And she came to me and gave me information, and I contacted Gwen, and I'm like, here I'm getting this information. I don't know who this person is, and I started to describe her, and you could have heard her jaw drop, over the phone. She's like, you didn't even know about her. And I said, well, she's talking. There was also a young man in Mississippi, a young African-American man who years and years and years ago was accused of harassing a white woman. Mm-hmm. And he was murdered. And I do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
Okay. His aunt came to me. But she actually came to me. This is back when I lived in my other place. And she talked to me at great length. And I drew her out, and everything. And I contacted Gwen, and I'm like, this is the strangest thing. It's the absolute strangest thing. And I started talking to her about it, and she goes, Vanessa, I was just going to call you to see if in the future you wanted to go to Mississippi to see if we could investigate this. Because I guess where he was dumped, or where his body was dumped before he was buried, or whatever it was, is actually still being defaced to this day. And this is decades ago. This is how bad this area is. Gwen's actually reached out to living relatives to see if they would talk to us. No response. But it was his aunt. We actually found her picture on the internet, and it was the exact woman I drew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A picture of her at his funeral. I had never heard of this poor child. I had never heard of him. And his aunt comes to me. And so I don't know if it's, maybe, I guess people have alluded to the fact that, people that have, our abilities or whatever, that sometimes the spirit world out there is really dark, and all of a sudden the light comes on, and we're that light, and they're drawn to it. And maybe, just maybe, they get lucky and they get the right person that can get their information out there. And that actually happens a lot more than people think. A lot more. And that's why we sound crazy. But it's just because we haven't found who we're supposed to give the information to yet.
Right. Sometimes you don't know.
You don't. I put it out on social media. When I had one come to me, this was bizarre. I had one come to me, and I had no idea who this man was. Didn't have a clue. And I'm like, you know what? I don't even know where to start. I put his picture that I drew out there on Facebook, and within about 3 hours, I had somebody private message me they weren't anyone I really knew. And they sent me the actual photograph that matched the face of the man I drew. It was the same picture. I've never seen it in my life. And for whatever reason, he came to me, and I have to assume that it was just to let whomever that was know, hey, I'm still here. I'm okay. I'm thinking about you. Sometimes that's all they want to do.
Yeah. Sometimes in living people need that.
Absolutely. I think they need it greatly. And, if sometimes we have to suffer in order to provide that, so be it. Yeah. Small price to pay.
I mean, sometimes I get the feeling like sometimes you personally just need somebody to say, hey, are you doing okay? Because so many people are always taken from you.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need somebody to say, how are you doing? Instead of everybody just going and saying, taking something from you. You just need somebody to give a little back.
Yeah, I do. If I'm being very honest, I do. I mean, I wouldn't trade my life for anything, but it's tough. It's tough because I can tell people what certain things feel like. I can tell them what, their loved ones are saying, but I can't, nor would I ever have them feel what I have to feel sometimes. And that is probably the only thing I'm not looking forward to when I go to Ireland, is I know how difficult some of these situations are going to be.
Yeah, you're going to feel a lot of despair and a lot of sorrow and stuff that you may not be able to hold some of that back.
I don't think I will be able to.
And there's going to be some nights where you're not going to be able to sleep because it's going to be hard.
It will be very hard. But if it gives, especially those children, if it gives them a voice, I will take it. I will take it. We have to, like I said, and the point I tried to make earlier, will it be entertaining for some? Of course it will. But the purpose behind it is to bring to light what I hope we all actually want. And that is giving those people a voice, giving those children a voice, giving whomever it is that's passed over and has something to say a chance to speak, a chance to be heard, a chance for closure. That's all I want. I don't want performing monkeys, circus. I want closure for people. I want hope for people. I want understanding from people and for people. And that's the whole goal behind it.
It's an admirable goal. So before we get too far or too late, how can people find you, your show, and the fundraiser again, so that we've got it all out there?
Okay. Again, hi y'all, Vanessa Hogkr. I am on Facebook, Twitter sometimes, and Instagram. My Facebook pages are Vanessa Hogkr, and then in parentheses Pollard. That's my personal page. Then you have Vanessa Hogkr, author medium. That's my professional page. Then we also have Perfect Trust Productions, which is mine and Gwen's combined page of the production company that we're starting up in order to do this documentary. My Instagram is just under Vanessa Hogkr. My YouTube is under Vanessa YouTube. The show is Edge of the Rabbit Hole with Mike Ricksecker. Honestly, y'all, if you just Google Vanessa Hogkr author, about 15 different pages show up.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, there's a bunch of crap there.
Oh, yeah. And their show is on Tuesday nights at 8:30 on YouTube. 8:30. Yep, 8:30 East or Central Time.
Yes, ma'am. And if anybody has any questions in regards to where to put donations, if they just contact me, I will point them in the right direction.
Vanessa's very good at telling people where to go in a lot of ways, so be aware of that. And
yeah, be sweet.
Yes, and if you can't find Vanessa for her to tell you where to go, I can tell you. Yes. And please, if you want to give to her fundraiser, and you have any questions whatsoever, you can ask me. I will send you directly to wherever you need to go to give to that. And remember, you can also find her at Haunted Road Media Paracon on June 1st, and that is from 10 o'clock until 6 o'clock on that day. And like I said, it's only $5 to attend, and there's going to be so many people there. And come early because parking is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
And yes. But you know what? You can park across, as long as it's not flooded, you can park across and come across the bridge from the casino over